As long as there has been television shows, pro wrestlers have shown up on them. Hell, classy Freddie Blassie appeared in a 1962 episode of The Dick Van Dyke Show to toss Rob Petrie's ass around a bowling alley. But in the 1990s, the wrestler-to-television pipeline exploded. As wrestling grew in popularity, more and more television shows sought ratings from pro wrestlers. From Randy Savage on The Weird Al Show, to Bret Hart on Lonesome Dove, to Roddy Piper on Silk Stockings, to Roddy Piper on RoboCop the series, to Roddy Piper on Highlander, to, you get what I'm going with here. Pro wrestlers from all the major companies appeared on all the major networks on many other major shows, but only one of them had all the networks trying to get him out of the ring and into the studio. Stone Cold Steve Austin! It can't be emphasized enough just how big a star Stone Cold Steve Austin was in wrestling. He was the biggest wrestler during the biggest wrestling boom, and people in Hollywood were beginning to take notice. One of those people was Don Johnson, star of a CBS detective show called Nash Bridges. Nash Bridges was a fairly standard police procedural starring Don Johnson as the titular Nash Bridges and Cheech Marin as his partner, Joe Dominguez. Set in San Francisco, Nash and Joe are good detectives, albeit a bit unorthodox.
It means he gets results, you stupid chief!
In 1999, Nash Bridges was in its 4th season and was doing okay ratings. It wasn't a hit show, but it wasn't a bomb either. It did moderately well considering it had a 10 p.m. Friday night time slot on CBS. As you can imagine, it wasn't typically marketed towards a youth demographic. Don Johnson was also a producer, and one day his bodyguard told him he should really look into getting the Stone Cold guy in the show, and thus we got the creation of one of fiction's greatest anti-heroes, Jake Cage. Some quick ground rules here. We're only going to be covering Jake Cage-centric developments in this video, so we're going to gloss over the unrelated subplots and moments. That means, unfortunately, this will be the only time we cover Don Johnson shooting down a plane with a missile. The first appearance of Jake Cage comes in an episode called Pump Action. A new super steroid is on the market that causes such intense roid rage that people become extra violent, and then their heart gives out. As Nash and Joe are trying to... Wait a minute, hold on. Does that say what I think it says? It turns out that this episode was written by legendary gonzo journalist Hunter S. Thompson. To hear Don Johnson tell it, Thompson was his neighbor and helped out with some of the creation of Nash Bridges. This episode was one of the 2 he actually wrote for the show. While Nash and Joe are investigating, they run into Nash's old protege, Jake Cage, who looks exactly how you think a guy named Jake Cage would look. He wasn't cut out for Nash's unit because he plays by his own set of rules.
It means he gets results, you stupid chief!
This is personal for Jake, as his brother-in-law was the victim that started all of this, and he's not going to let Nash stand his way. The only thing they can agree on is Nash's love interest, Caitlin Cross, played by Yasmine Bleeth. It turns out Caitlin Cross went on a bad date with old Jake Cage back in the day, and Jake still harbors some feelings for her. Cage and Bridges finally do work together, just in time for an obligatory fight sequence with an obligatory body slam. They catch the bad guys, and Jake Cage rides off to complete more acts of unprovoked police brutality. The producers of Nash Bridges expected a ratings bump with the casting of Stone Cold, so they scheduled the episode for February sweeps. When the ratings came in, they had to be surprised. They drew a 9.9, which made it the 2nd highest rating the show had ever done. Jake Cage was originally supposed to be a one-off character, but between the high ratings and the critical praise, they decided maybe there was something they could work with here. Stone Cold returned a few months later for the season 4 finale, Goodbye Kiss. This was the 2nd part of a 2-parter, and I didn't watch the first, so I understood like 75% of what was going on. The important part to remember is that they're escaped convicts, and Jake Cage is determined to catch them. Strangely enough, considering the Hunter S. Thompson deal, this episode was written by George Plimpton. That's not true, I made that up. In his first appearance, Jake Cage was basically Stone Cold Steve Austin, just wearing a denim vest instead of a leather one. This time, they gave him more of a personality, which mainly consists of an appreciation for the Weather Channel and his continuing infatuation with Caitlin Cross. Of course, Jake Cage is still going to cause trouble, so you get a scene where he beats up a bunch of karate students. I'm not entirely sure why he had to fight karate students, so let's just assume the episode I missed filled in that little plot hole. The ratings for the Jake Cage episodes were so good that for season 5, the producers of Nash Bridges wanted him to appear in 10 episodes. But due to his schedule, Stone Cold was only able to do 5. However, the eagerness of the producers was an early sign that there was a market for Austin on television. As early as November of 1999, whispers began of a potential Jake Cage spinoff. WWF President Linda McMahon told reporters that they were in negotiations with CBS CEO Les Moonves for a television series starring Stone Cold. WWF had recently joined with Viacom, which owned CBS, so it made sense. It wasn't just CBS looking to cash in on Austin's popularity either, as there were reports of ABC, Fox, and UPN all trying to get in on the Steve Austin business. As negotiations continued, Stone Cold's acting would be on Nash Bridges for the time being, beginning with the Season 5 episode, High Society. This episode displayed Jake Cage's sensitive side as he's forced to go undercover at a wedding with Caitlin Cross. They're trying to catch an international fugitive nobody else recognizes because he has a new face. God, this show rules. This episode continues the Cage, Cross, Bridges love triangle, which isn't much of a love triangle because it seems like Nash Bridges doesn't love anything but his car. You got some My Fair Lady action with Stone Cold as Eliza Doolittle, there's a sentence I never thought I'd say, and Caitlin Cross trying to teach him some manners. Caitlin Cross sees a different side of Jake Cage throughout the episode as he explains his feelings for her. They agree to keep it platonic, but the episode still ends with Jake Cage kissing Caitlin Cross. There was a rumor that Stone Cold actually made a play for Yasmine Bleeth, but he denied it. I only brought that up because I wanted to show how Howard Stern asked about it on his show.
Wait, no, there was no sparks. There was all,
Really?
all on a professional level.
And she didn't want the Stone Cold Wiener.
Well, I didn't ask her that, but
Right.
I can't unhear the phrase Stone Cold Wiener, just like I can't unsee the next Jake Cage episode. Get bananas! So far we've covered steroid rings, karate dojo fights, and undercover weddings. Logically, the next step is, of course, Monkey in Danger. This is the least hinged of the episodes, as this one involves Jake Cage and Nash Bridges at odds over a celebrity monkey. Nash is working security for the monkey, sorry, and Jake is trying to kidnap the animal to get in good with the Animal Liberation Army he's working undercover in. You're not going to believe this, but Jake Cage's antics get him, Nash, and Joe in some serious danger. In a shocking plot twist, they're able to beat up the bad guys and kiss the monkey goodbye. That's not a euphemism, that really happened. That leaves us with his final appearances in the two-part Season 5 finale episodes, Jackpot! The chief of police is murdered, and now I feel bad that I called him stupid. Nash is on the case and Jake is at his desk. He's temporarily sharing a desk with Joe, and his story throughout the episode mainly consists of him complaining that Joe is touching his turtles. We actually don't get the usual Jake Cage ass-kicking kind of episode, as this was during his recovery from neck surgery, and so he couldn't get as physical as he was before. He is around just long enough to accidentally let DEA agents double-cross them and take a truckload of money to Las Vegas, with Nash and Joe right behind them. We pick up in the next episode, Jackpot, Part 2, where Nash and Joe have made it to the Sin City. They aren't in Vegas long before Jake is sent by Caitlin Cross to bring them back before they do something illegal. He handcuffs himself to Nash to make sure he brings them back, and I'm so excited for a classic Jake Cage and Nash Bridges mess around. Never mind, Joe bashed him over the head and uncuffed Nash. Cage agrees to help them catch the Chief's killer, and that's a wrap on Jake Cage. A 6-episode run, but the last episode is basically a cameo. At some point, the spinoff was formally offered to Steve Austin, who turned it down. He talked about in his book, The Stone Cold Truth. As much as I want to read quotes from it in the Stone Cold voice, it's probably best you hear it from the horse's mouth.
CBS offered me a series the next year based on the Jake Cage character. But of course, it wasn't something I could do. I was still hotter than a firecracker with the WWE. It wasn't time to get out of this game yet. Plus, what I would make on a TV show wasn't even close to what I was going to make at WWE. Sports entertainment definitely paid me more money than I was going to make playing Jake Cage. But I'll tell you, I did enjoy doing the Nash Bridges.
It's hard to imagine Austin made the wrong decision when you consider how much money he was making. Wrestling and entertainment reporter Steve Beverly estimated the only way it would have been worth it for Austin to walk away would be if he was guaranteed $7 to $8 million a year for 2 years. Still, with his neck issues effectively ending his career in 2003, it's worth wondering what would have happened if he made the move to acting when his career was at its peak. Unfortunately, Nash Bridges never reached the ratings peak of the Jake Cage episodes again. The show ended after its 6th season, a respectable run for any show in the 90s. While it is a largely forgotten show, it did give us this clip of Stone Cold Steve Austin holding a monkey, and for that, it will always be remembered. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out the description for some of the videos and articles that helped me make this one. Check out this Nash Bridges clip. I told you this show was crazy.